You're listening to Phantom Cave Reviews on YouTube, and we're about to review some comic books. I've got Today we're going to be reviewing two comic books, and one of them being the Balloons for the Mountain, Balloons for the Moon, and plus the issue with Heloise Part 2, which is going to be amazing. And then we have the Kingdom of Pirates. Plus, if you would, for as a coincidence, it's also got the issue with Heloise Part 3 in it, and that's going to be looking so good. It is that story, Heloise, the issue with Heloise story by Matt Kime is so good, and I just enjoyed it so very much that I do have to talk about it because I enjoyed it very, very much. And maybe soon, maybe someone might be a special guest, might be on the YouTube channel. You never know. You never know what we've got cooking up. So, tonight's music is Swing Beats, Laughter by Gravity. So I hope you enjoy this video. I hope you enjoying this live stream. If you're on the live stream yourself, or if you're watching it via replay after the live stream has been finished. So let's get into it. So I think the cover art, all these covers that were used for the Bella Opaque series that was running this year, and I think it finishes in the next couple of issues, which we'll be having a look at next time. I've got all these books here. I think it finishes with the Gargoyle of Notre Dame. It's either that one just there, or yeah, it must be Gargoyle of Notre Dame. Nostradam, it's called. And yeah, the stories when I was first reading like the Bella Opaque series and when they were first coming out, I didn't particularly start to enjoy them until I got into, I think that was to do with the Catacombs in Paris, and I think the one before that as well. I didn't really start getting enjoyed with those stories because I felt like the artwork, first couple of first story, I think it was the Hell one. It was with the L and fur, and it's got like a big. It's yeah, that story for the first issue of this series, I didn't really enjoy much because I didn't think the artwork was. I thought the artwork was a bit rushed, basically. And now we're going to be having a look at Balloon for the Moon. Does that rhyme? Yes, it sure does. Okay, for this story, we don't have a Dudley publisher note, which I love to read. I love to read his notes. So we start off in this story with these two mysterious people, and perhaps they are reading newspapers, which, as everyone knows, if you've been paying attention on the YouTube channel, and if you've been paying attention, even if you're an Aussie or if you're an international person that's onto the YouTube channel or has found it somewhere else, somehow else, the Phantom and other comic book characters that have been running in the newspaper, like the Daily Telegraph and the Sunday Morning Herald, yeah, they're not in the newspaper anymore, and that's it's very sad, but these two gentlemen, the one on the right, I think the one on the left, either the one on the left or right, passes a note, a piece of paper, to the one on the right or left. And it's telling him to meet at this certain location where some mysterious, suspicious people will gather. And I think in the last story of this series, that this same we saw that this sort of gang and conspiracy gang were trying to organize assassination plots so that they would somehow benefit from that supposed assassination plot. But in this story, you really do think that the Phantom and his wife, the 19th Phantom and his wife, is actually going to get some peace and they're actually going to actually go and explore Paris. But that isn't so. That isn't going to happen. And as in most stories, we see that there's someone has escaped. Who is that someone? It's an ape. It's a monkey, for God's sake. It's a monkey. And he runs a absolute muck. He runs an absolute banana peel. Oh God, that is horrible. He runs an absolute banana peel of this, and somehow, after this big, massive, somehow this creation, this balloon that somehow is going to get to the moon, like you would think back in the when you see those funny clips from the 1890s and the 1800s and then going into the 1900s before the Wright brothers aeroplane, when you see the funny clips with, oh, we can use wings that we control to fly. Is that going to work? Not necessarily so. So we then use heaps of hot air to try and get a flying craft up into the sky. And it would be, I think, more than it would be a good 80 years since 80 years after those funny videos and the funny sort of people, oh, going and nearly demolishing themselves or even falling off before they got into the air. And as everyone knows, in 1960s and I think it's 69, the first mission to the moon was a success, and that's how that relates to it. And yet again, we have another famous Paris monarch. We have a famous monument in this story, which has been it's been shown in all of the stories with this series. And who better else to be driving it and to be operating this machine than a guy that looks like he's just came out of the movie Walrus. It just looks like oh mate, the orange guy out of that's Doctor Who, Doctor Zeus book and film, or Walrus, I think it is. The big orange guy. And of course he's gotta have the good old steampunk top hat. But I guess that was the attire back in those days. So this aircraft, it's going quite well and it's having a great reception with the crowd. And then the monkey appears. And where does that monkey surprise? It surprises the pilot. And the aircraft is now losing speed. It's now losing altitude. The Phantom then has to get onto that plane and basically try to stop it. Then he stops it, and where does it end? Where does it go? Well, you heard me in the first couple of pages. It crashes right bang in the middle of a supposed get up and gang of togetherness, and And what we are left with is the floating device going into a house. Yeah. If you're just joining us right now, we are having a look at issue number 1919, and it is called the balloon for the moon. And that issue is nearly coming to an end. This one was a fun story. It was a fun story, and now we are having a look at the issue with Halois. Last time on this comic, and in the first part, I think we saw that the Phantom and Halois would be going to off on an adventure to Baron Khan to see King Prince or King Rex, and and Kit and Diana were going to New York, and now that the Phantom is now seeing Prince or King Rex, he's now seeing his, you would say, adopted son, because it was, I think these two, they were mentioned and they were talked about and they were scripted and all that sort of stuff into a couple of dailies, and then we had Duncan Munro's run on these two characters, which was amazing. It ran over 3 issues over, I think, 3 or 4 years, and it was just so good. So we also have the other part to this story is that there's assassination plot. Yes, I'm about to say that. It's a cliche, really. There's a assassination plot trying to be hung, and the Prince Rex, or King Rex as you would call it, is in the middle of that firing line. What happens is that it is going fairly wrong, and the assassinators are falling to pieces, basically, and one of the assassinators dies. I think he shoots himself to do a suicide, I think it is. And Prince Rex and King Rex is basically getting, I think he's getting poisoned, pretty much, because the poison is actually in the thing that they're drinking. So when that would happen, the Phantom then tries to find this guy. The other person to that assassination plot runs off. Then she tries and goes over the brick wall or stone wall, but in the third issue, the third part of this series, we will find out if she does exist and if she does stay alive. Does she take the fall? Does she go and fall over the stone wall? Or does Heloise basically make sure she doesn't fall over the stone wall? And now you can get The Phantom, The Ghost, and the Monster right now, available at few publications, graphic novel number 2, and you can find it on www.phantomcomic.com.au. Our next comic that we're going to be having a look at and its cover design is by Grange Wallace. He is just amazing. I love his stuff, and I love how he does his covers, even through the last 4 years. He's just been amazing. And there will be something coming out with him as well soon. No spoiler alerts going on there. So we have the Kingdom of the Pirates as the main story, and then we have part 3 of the issue with Halois. So with the Kingdom of the Pirates, it's to do with the Phantom. He opens a chronicle which he's about to start to read. There's this mysterious pirate, and he goes under the name of... He's very mysterious, and he's a very bad person. And the Jungle Patrol and the Phantom in general are having a very hard time to try and get this bloke in to at least jail or in with or around his neck. But yeah, the Phantom, there's they then they try and track this guy, and they finally get him, and then he escapes, and what is left is this little container full of, you'd say, it's just smoke, and it's full of drugs. I think it is full of smoke, and you go, yeah, not good stuff. And the part of that where this story comes in is that little container that we saw early on in the story that was in the treasure room, and I think Rex or I think Tom or Rex asks about it and says, "Oh, where did this item come from, Kit Walker? Where did this come from, Uncle?" And then the Phantom then has to tell him a story about how this item has gotten into the treasure chamber, the major or mini treasure chamber. And we go on this big, wholehearted adventure about one of the past Phantoms dismantling this evil pirating adventure. And in amongst of all that happening, one of the high people that is to do with the governor, is he involved with this pirate organization, or is he just a governor doing his thing? We'll just have to wait and see. And this guy, is he a part of it too? Just have to wait and see. So the Phantom goes and he tries, and he is talking to one of the old jungle patrol captains or colonels, and he devises this plot. He devises this plan to trap the pirate, to trap this governor, and will it work or will it not? So then the pirates and the other people associated with those pirates, they storm the Jungle Patrol headquarters, which is this big stone castle. And what happens is that they're led into a trap. They're led in as ants to honey, and the ants or the pirates are stuck. They're stuck in that honey. They're stuck in that fortress, and they're pretty much, you'd say, stuffed. Really, they're pretty much stuffed. Look, because the water's coming in, and yeah, they're pretty much bamboozled. So one person tries to get away. The Phantom goes after that person, and in all that happening, the governor, this mysterious person, is meeting up with this other guy that is associated with the guy that is in a grey hat, black hat, with a cloak over him. Who is this person? Why is he doing this stuff? Because the Phantom will destroy him, and the Phantom will he'll basically be put in the barracks, basically, and he may serve a sentence. And we find out where Colonel Cardingham and Secretary Carter were waiting. I was expecting to find our commander here, Mr. Carter, and I'm waiting for the Sir William to show up, Colonel. Hand this over to Colonel Cardingham. It's a detailed account of the events at sea and the instructions on what he should do now. I strongly doubt we will meet again, gentlemen. He rounds it all up, and they are never to be seen again, and that is the end of that phantom story. Now the third part with issue with Heloise. So last part we saw that a important figure, which is King Rex or Prince Rex as you would want to call him, and there's another his associate is about to fling herself off a stone wall. Heloise uses her bargaining power and basically saves that person from going over that stone wall. And that all happens. Heloise saves that person from drowning. And the Phantom and Heloise survive another day. And the associate, the girlfriend of the one that had poisoned poisoned King Rex, is basically lightened off with a light sentence, and she's now been put on the right track, and now has been put on the right track to life. And the Phantom and Heloise hug, and the Phantom says, "I've never been proud of you." Heloise says, "Thanks, Dad." The end. That series, like the issue with Heloise series, was very, very good. And I would just like to say thank you, Matt Kime, for making that story. It felt very, very relevant to a lot of people, and look at that full cover. Beautiful, just beautiful. Even the skull in the sky. Absolutely beautiful. So if you enjoyed that live stream, I hope you did. And as always, you can subscribe to the Phantom Cave YouTube channel down below. And do you have any questions about the stories, or do you have any questions in general that you would like me to answer for you? I can do that. And as always, keep Phantom Caving. And there's one last thing that I wanted to show you tonight, and that is the new pickups. Mandrake the Magician, the Master of Illusion. There's a new pickups, and it is the good old adventure books, the budget books, the adventure books by Budget Books. And I also have that I think is I also have The Adventures of Flash Gordon. The New Adventures of Flash Gordon. Good stuff. The squashbuckling hero returns with a galaxy of adventure. Just great stuff. And if you would like to keep updated on the Phantom, you can subscribe to the YouTube channel, and as always, keep Phantom Caving. See yous.